With Boris Johnson stepping down as an MP, it now appears that the Conservative Party are fearing that Boris Johnson's supporters will form rival parties as the third MP quits. We're going to read a little bit of this more with an exclusive from the Eye with more details. Let's go, guys. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, guys, wherever you are in the world. This is Regan Elite here with an exclusive from iNews. So obviously the big news that happened over the weekend on Friday, of course, was the resignation, stepping down of Boris Johnson, and things have kind of exploded since then, haven't they? This exclusive here from iNews is Tories that are fearing Boris Johnson supporters will form a rival party as the third MP quits. So as we go along, obviously I'll start talking a bit more about what I think of the whole ordeal and everything, because I haven't really given my thoughts on it. But I'll probably talk a bit more about it as well on the live stream on the Snowflake Viewpoint as well, so you guys can check that out as well, because I'm sure I'll be covering a bit more on that as well there. So Tories fear Boris Johnson supporters will form rival party as the third MP quits. As many as 6 pro-Johnson MPs could quit the party in a move that would further plunge Rishi Sunak's leadership into crisis. So the wave of Tory MPs quitting Parliament led by Boris Johnson has prompted fears within the Conservative Party of a rival party being set up, fronted by former Prime Minister. Nigel Adams becomes the third MP to announce that he would be stepping down effective immediately after Nadine Dorries and Mr Johnson said they were resigning on Friday night. The decision has sparked chaos within the Conservative Party, leaving Rishi Sunak facing the prospects of 3 by-elections in succession in the coming months. So obviously, Boris Johnson, the reason why he obviously stepped down, what we believe is because he wanted to avoid the outcome of the COVID inquiry. Obviously, this is a way of him getting out of it, and then of course in Uxbridge he was going to lose that seat. We knew he was as good as gone, really, to be fair, when Boris Johnson was going to go from there. Now, Nadine Dorries' seat is actually considered quite a safe seat for the Conservative Party, believe it or not, and obviously she looks like she'll be heading in. Obviously, with her stepping down, it's a position that Boris Johnson may likely go into. But whether or not he'll go in as a Conservative MP or not is a thing to question, whether or not that will happen. But he can certainly form a rival political party of his own. And the question is how it would compare to something like Reform UK. That's another question that needs to be looked at. The Eye has been told as many as 6 Boris Johnson loyal MP could quit the party in a move that would further plunge Mr Sunak's leadership into crisis. Well, that wouldn't surprise me. I think that's kind of inevitable, to be fair, that more people are going to walk the plank, really, because they're kind of in this belief that he's going to save everything pretty much. In a bitter resignation statement, Mr Johnson took aim at Mr Sunak's leadership of the party, warning that it would face defeat at the next general election unless it recaptures the sense of momentum and its belief in what this country can do. Well, the vast majority of it was kind of hanging on Brexit, and Labour had in Jeremy Corbyn a divisive sort of leader. Whether you agree with his policies or not, there were things that people vehemently disagreed with. There were a lot of things about his policies that I agreed with, but the one thing that didn't make me cast my vote towards Labour in that 2019 general election, and you can disagree with my viewpoint, is that he wouldn't apologise for the anti-Semitism taking place in the Labour Party, and there was anti-Semitism in the Labour Party at that time. There is anti-Semitism taking place in other parties, but you've got to admit that there are things that are wrong, and he just would not budge on that issue, and that was one of the reasons that really frustrated me about him. Sitting on the fence on Brexit didn't help either as well, to be fair. But I digress. I voted Green at that time. It's easy for people to say back in hindsight, we should have voted Labour and all this kind of thing, but we are where we are now, to be fair. He hinted of a swift return to frontline politics, which has fueled fevered speculation that Mr Johnson could seek re-election in a safer seat, which we said Nadine Dorries' one looks likely, such as to vacate Miss Dorries and Mr Adams, or even set up his own party. One former cabinet minister told the Eye his resignation is very bad news for the Conservatives. Just as we thought UKIP and Reform were back in the box, I suspect another party on the right is about to be set up, and its first election test will be the by-elections. I think UKIP are dead in the water, really, to be fair. They're a dead horse now, to be fair. Reform ain't going nowhere at the moment. They're still, they've got the extreme right wing at the moment. The source highlights that the pro-Johnson grassroots group, the Conservative Democratic Organisation set up by staunch Johnsonites Lord Crottus and former Conservative MEP David Bannerman, as a potential vehicle for a new party. I'm not sure they will win seats, but they will take voters off the Conservatives, the senior Tory said. Miss Adams has been earmarked to receive peerages in Mr Johnson's resignation honours list, but the recommendations was referred back to the authorities to admit fears it would lead him to stepping down as an MP before the election. The Eye understands Mr Johnson contacted Lord Crottus over the weekend, and the pair are due to meet in the coming weeks to discuss their next steps, although CDO insiders played down any suggestions of a new party being formed. Well, they played it down, but just because they play it down doesn't mean it isn't ruled out. Lord Crottus, who was ennobled by Mr Johnson, said he was very angry and appalled by the Conservative Parliamentary Party, accusing them of stabbing the former Tory leader in the back and then the front. Well, he broke the rules, everyone knows that. Why can't he just take it like a man? Oh wait, he can't do that, we know that. Conservative Party members have been treated with contempt by their own MPs, and their behaviour is anti-democratic and will lead to most of them losing their jobs as MPs at the next general election. He said the electorate are angry with them, and who can blame them? Members voted for Boris, and then Liz Truss were both forced to resign by the Conservative Parliamentary Party without referrals to the members. Claire Boulevard, CEO of the CDO, said, "This is far from game over for Boris. This is game on. Boris is now unshackled. You just have to read a statement by saying how he's sad to be leaving Parliament, at least for now. The full words will no doubt be casting meltdowns across the Labour Party. Boris will be back stronger than ever. His best days are yet to come." Yeah, guys. I'm seeing a lot of people saying that Boris is gone, goodbye Boris, bye-bye, and all that kind of stuff. He's not going anywhere. He's not going anywhere. If you think for 1 second that Boris Johnson is kind of done, that he's going to be disappearing disappearing off into the sunset, you have no idea. It's like Donald Trump over in America. Love him or hate him, the guy is not going to stop. With his voice, and same with Boris Johnson. He will take any route he can to get back into power. This guy, he's not going anywhere. Whether he come back into the Conservative Party or whether he'll be reforming a new party, Boris Johnson's not going anywhere, guys. He is going to be around whether we like it or not, and he will do everything he can to take the limelight off others and put it all on him. And this whole rhetoric of him being like, of him being Mr. Perfect, and I know what I'm doing, and it's because of me Brexit got done, and all this kind of stuff, guys. We know it's not true. He's saying he done everything. He didn't do everything, guys. It's not about one man. It's about everybody playing their part, and it's gonna be annoying, guys, to say the least. What do you guys think? Obviously, let me know down in the comments below about Boris Johnson, the possibility of him for reforming his own political party, or maybe even something with reform. Who knows? Let me know what you guys think. Like, share, and subscribe as always, and I will catch you guys very, very soon.